Well, hello, everybody. My name is Joe Hinson, and I am hosting SFOI Live again today in place of Bill Adams, who is currently in London with a good team of people for the NFL London. Um, and so we'll be there they'll be there until I guess Monday or so. They're usually there for two games. And so, yeah, I'll be hosting today. Today, we're going to be talking to Tommy Waltz, who is going to be hosting an outreach to the North Carolina State Fair here coming up. And so we're going to hear about that, ways you can be praying for him, and maybe even if you're interested, coming to be a part of that event with him to lift up the banner of Christ there in North Carolina, a state which really could probably use some good news right now. So I'm going to bring him on here in a second, and we'll get to know him a little bit and get to know about his event. So give me just 1 second. I'll bring him in. Tommy, how you doing, brother?
Doing well, Joe. So let's give everybody a quick update. How's Bill and the team doing over there in London?
They're doing well. Yeah, they're typically when they're between the stadium events, which are the two Sundays. Between those events, they go to different areas around London, all the historic sites, Trafalgar Square, Piccadilly Circus, right outside of Westminster Abbey, and they'll lead outreaches all over the city all day long, and it's a really interesting layout, and they don't get a lot of they don't get too much friction from the local law enforcement, as long as they're keeping it to the message and being very careful about that. I went last year, and I did have one local citizen get a little upset that I was there, and wanted me to stop, and actually got right up on me and ripped my microphone off my head and threw it to the ground.
Yeah.
And then I picked up the microphone and tried to get some space from him, and kept preaching the gospel, and not trying to single him out or anything.
Sure.
And then he proceeded to try and call law enforcement on me. And when he found out they weren't gonna do anything, he finally had to leave. So yeah, it was an interesting time there. Yeah.
Kind of a plug of a
go ahead.
plug. Joe's been to London. I had the opportunity to go in 2017. Bill and I did Scotland, and then we did London, and I went on into Egypt. But if you've never been to London to preach the gospel, I would encourage you to go, definitely. Everyone from all over the world basically comes through that place. I ran into so many people from all over the world during my time there. Now, it was a big Olympic event they had there, so that's probably was a big draw. And then they had Fringe Fest in Scotland, is one of the world's biggest art festivals. So I definitely encourage you, if you've never been, to please go. And like Joe is saying, there is some hostility. There are many Muslims there that are willing to engage you and talk with you about what they believe, and atheists, agnostics, unbelievers, believers. It's you do a minimum of three things while you're there. Number one, you let the lost hear the gospel. Number two, you encourage the saints who are in England, who don't really have a lot of gospel preaching in their country. You just encourage them. You ignite their faith. And then number three, you give the opportunity for the scoffer and the mocker to give someone to sink their teeth in. You're able to answer them with hopefully a cogent, a biblical, accurate, God-honoring response. So I would just, but anyway, moving on. Good to doing well. That's good. That's good to hear.
Yes, sir. So, how are things going on your end of the world?
Yeah, I mean, well, we've, as you probably have heard, our state, we've had that really bad hurricane come through. Probably been a week or two now, and caused a lot of devastation on our side of the state. Not that bad at all. We are actually sending a lot of people out there to help and get the gospel and meet needs. Preaching wise here in the state, complete freedom. We've had to deal with just a few issues I would say over the past year, we've had to, this was 2 years ago, had to really encounter NC State authorities, which is the college, the local college here. We had to deal with that in court, but we got it all taken care of. And I mean, I would say our state's very open to share and preach the gospel. There's a lot of lostness here. There's a big LGBTQ community here. They have a headquarters in Raleigh, which that's where we preach a lot. So almost every time we engage with the gospel in downtown Raleigh, we're engaging with the LGBTQ community in some way, shape, or form. We just had a big LGBTQ event in Wake Forest, a little town of Wake Forest, which is a suburb of Raleigh. And we preached and shared the gospel there. Had about 20 guys come out, 2 churches represented, and had complete freedom to preach and share the gospel. But of course, we had some hostility to that, which comes with the course, as part of the course. But in between all that, the gospel was preached, the word of God was exalted, accurately represented there, and people heard the gospel. And so we praise God for that. And we did speak against this event coming into Wake Forest at our city council. But of course, they didn't pay attention to it. They canceled the Christmas parade because they didn't want to offend someone, but yet they had an event in this town. So that kind of said a lot about where our culture is located and where it's heading.
Yeah.
Definitely needs a gospel presence and needs a gospel witness and the truth spoken and preached.
Yeah, but well, the gospel will shine all the brighter in the midst of such darkness, brother.
It's very, very true. Very true. Yeah.
So Tommy, before we get into the upcoming events, I've always wanted to sit and ask you, can you give me just a brief history of what, how long you've been doing evangelism, and what was your start, what got you into it, and maybe even where does SFOI overlap into that? How long you been with us?
Yeah, Joe. I don't think I've ever shared that with you. We just usually when you and I are together, we're busy preaching or talking about evangelism. So it started back in 2003. I'd gotten saved in 2001, and right away I began to stumble and bumble and try to share my faith as best I could. In 2003, I was so convicted to go out and share my faith at a local St. Patrick's Day festival. I didn't do a very good job at it, but I went and I passed out tracts and witnessed to an atheist and had a satanic guy spit beer at me and cuss at me and get right in my face. So right away, I began to see that this gospel message was going to bring hostility. And that was a good thing for me, no doubt. And so after 2003, I would go out a few times a year with me and one of the guys from church to our local events. Still didn't do any open air preaching, but just would go out and witness to people. So in 2000, and let me get my time frame right and make sure I'm telling you the truth. Yeah. So in 2006, I was introduced to a guy named Ray Comfort from California through a set of DVDs that him and Kirk Cameron did. And I knew Kirk Cameron from Growing Pains. And so I slapped the DVD in and began to watch it. And I told my wife, I said, Melanie, the Lord's called me to do this. And she said, that's a little weird. I said, yeah, tell me about it. It seemed a little weird to me too, but I feel this is what the Lord's calling me to do. So in 2006, when I watched those DVDs, at that same time, God was calling me to go to the seminary, to a college up here in Wake Forest. So I took the family and moved them from Lexington, South Carolina, and moved up here to obey God. He wanted me in school to continue my education. So I moved up here with 2 kids, one on the way, a wife, and no job, but we did have $1,000. Praise the Lord for that. So that was enough to put a deposit on the apartment that we got in. And then from there, went to school and felt the Lord really convicting me to go out and open air preach. So in 2007, I went and preached for the first time in the open air. The conviction to preach would not go away. It just kept gnawing at me. I didn't know anyone around me that was preaching. The only encouragement I had was great comfort. I had no idea that there was a network of evangelists that were beginning to form here in the U.S. and abroad. And so I went and I began to preach at the local courthouse. And I'm 15 minutes into handing out dollar bills, trivia questions, and preaching the gospel from John 3:16, and a police officer pulls up. Now, before he pulls up, I had mockers, I had a homeless person, and I had some young kids laughing at me sitting on the State House steps. So I had a lot of different things going on. Well, the police officer pulled up and asked me what I was doing, and I told him I was preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. And he said, well, young man, you can't do that here on this property. It's private. You would need to get a permit. But the officer was a believer, so praise the Lord for that. He said, but if you go about 50 feet to the left here and get on my sidewalk, I can't say a word to you. So I learned from that experience, and I hit the sidewalk and began preaching a little bit more. Now, during that time, my wife says, I'll be praying for you, and you go and do what the Lord calls you to do, and then let's get back together and see, what the Lord's done. And so I came back home afterwards, and I said, Mel, this is what the Lord wants me to do. There's no doubt. Here's what happened. And she said, but the police came up and told you to stop. I was like, yeah, but the police gave me a lot of information. And so I learned a lot the first year of what not to do and what to do, what I could do, what I can't do. And from there, I was attending school and attending a good church. I went to my elders and I told them, I said, hey, listen, I feel like the Lord's calling me to open air preach. Would you guys peer into my life to make sure that I have this calling of evangelist? And just let me know. And they never told me to stop preaching. They said, Tommy, we want to watch your life and we want to examine your life, but continue. And if we see anything telling us otherwise, we'll definitely let you know. So they watched my life for about 2 years, and they would call me in just to talk to me, pray with me from time to time. And my pastor would sit with me and he says, what do you believe doctrinally? Because I was new to this church. And I would write out what I believe doctrinally. And he read it and he said, son, this is biblical. This is what we would call a ministry of John the Baptist, that we need people out here doing this. So we're going to send you out. And they sent me out as a licensed evangelist from my church. Now, during that time, my wife said, well, Tommy, that's fine. I'm glad God's calling us to do this. I want to serve you in this whole process, but we got to feed a family. So from there, I sketched out an outline for Gospel of God Ministries. And from that, I submitted that to my elders, and they gave me their blessing. Matter of fact, the head preaching pastor served on my board here at Gospel of God Ministries for years. And in 2000, man, I'm going to get this wrong, I know. It was, I think in 2009, Joe, it was, we're going back to New Orleans next year. It was the previous time the Super Bowl was in New Orleans, however long ago that was.
Yeah.
I had a guy named Scott Smith invite me to come to the Super Bowl. And Dave, I can't think of Dave's last name now. He was the team leader. And Dave invited me, Scott invited me, but I was on Dave's team. And that was the first time I ever met Bill Adams and the first time I ever preached at the Super Bowl. And I've never missed one since. I'll probably never will miss one until the Lord called me home.
Amen.
It's an opportunity to go and to reach millions for the gospel. And so from there, Bill and I, we had a friendship now since that time. And we've been to Scotland together, been to London together, we bounced around America together with the Super Bowl. I've led Super Bowl teams, I've taught, I've preached. Yeah, so that's kind of a little bit of how Gospel of God Ministries and SOFI merged together, and that how why one of the reasons why we're putting on this NC State Fair event.
Yeah.
Did I answer?
Excellent.
If I didn't, please tell me, and I'll go back and fill in.
No, that was great. That was great. That was excellent. I do have a follow up based off of what you did mention though. So, Gospel of God Ministries, you have a YouTube channel, and as an evangelist, one of the things that we want to be able to do is to equip the saints for the work of ministry. So, can you tell us a little bit about what you do there on the Gospel of God Ministries, on your YouTube channel, your media, all that stuff?
Sure. You know, I'll tell you a story about YouTube, and hopefully it's a story to encourage you, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the channel.
Mm-hmm.
So for all you guys who have YouTube channels that aren't as big as Way of the Master, that aren't as big as Apologia Radio with Jeff Durbin, this story will encourage you. So I was really wrestling with, is having this channel worth it? Because Joe, you would know, you definitely know, and anyone who does YouTube videos that have decent quality videos realize how much time and effort goes into not only shooting a video, but producing a video and then uploading the video to YouTube. I mean, from data space to videographers to audio to video. And I was just really, my wife and I were talking, and I talked about it with my board a little bit. Is it worth the amount of time and money that we're putting into this to produce these YouTube videos? And because you got to have a videographer come with you. But since we started the YouTube channel, technology has become really condensed with these phones, and it's really helped us out a lot. But so I was just contemplating that, and we were in Black Mountain, North Carolina, hiking a mountain with my daughter for her 18th birthday, just spending some time with her. And we get halfway up the mountain, and Melanie says, "You know what? I'm not going to go up any higher." And Ella said, "You know, Dad, I think I'm done too." And I said, "We're halfway up. We can't stop now." We kind of continue going. And they said, "Well, we're going to go back down into the shops in the town. Why don't you go ahead and hike it all up and take some time and then come back and meet us downtown?" I said, "Okay, that's fine. I'll do that." So I finished hiking up the mountain. I get up to the top of this mountain, and there may be 15 people on top of this mountain. So I go find a rock to sit on and to overlook. It was fall. It was beautiful. Just taking in God's creation. And I hear a voice go, "Sir." And I turn around and I said, "May I help you?" He says, "You have a YouTube channel." I said, yes, sir, I do. And he says, "I just want to let you know that I've become a believer about 2 years ago, and your videos have helped me so much. I thank God for the history, and I thank God for your YouTube channel." And I said, "Son, if you don't mind me asking, how in the world did you find our YouTube channel? Because we only have like 500 and some subscribers." He says, "I was just on YouTube one day, and one of your videos popped up, and I've been following your YouTube channel ever since." So I say that to encourage you, YouTube channel people who have all this work you put into your channel. Don't stop doing it, because you never know who you're encouraging. You may never know. If you've got anybody watching videos, I don't care if it's 5 people or 500 people, God in his sovereignty, through all the negative algorithms that YouTube put, all the shadow banning that happens at times, God is getting your videos to the people that really need to hear it. So I praise God for that. So a little bit about our channel. Our channel has episodes ranging from how to witness to somebody in under 2 minutes, podcast section on our channel. We do also have a 8-year-old podcast. We have over 100 episodes called Truth That Transforms. Truth That Transforms. We also have videos of us preaching, dealing with objections, dealing with hecklers. Go and just scroll down through it until you see a thumbnail that perks and click on it. And that's why you're going to click on it, because that's the whole science behind YouTube. And I know we're getting into another philosophy, right? But is the thumbnail attractive enough for somebody to stop to 2 seconds to click on it.
Yeah.
And so if you're not getting a lot of clicks, sometimes, most of the times, it's just because you don't have a attractive enough thumbnail. It's not because of your content, so don't be discouraged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do recommend the channel. If you guys are out there, go check out Gospel of God Ministries on YouTube, and they'll teach you everything you need to know from the preaching of the gospel itself, right down to the technology to capture that and post it somewhere. So yeah, they want to help you do the whole thing. So they do a great job.
Okay.
Incidentally, before we go on any further and talk about the events, quickly, if you're out there listening or watching, please give us a like and a share on the YouTube channel, and share us to all your social networks to help us grow the channel, so that we can invite more guys in to come in and join, link arms with us to preach the gospel. And we want to get the word out about what we're doing, so that we can see more and more guys raised up, and we can encourage them, train them up, and get more gospel out there. That's what we want to be a part of. So tell us. Yeah, go ahead, Tommy.
Yeah, listen to what Joe's saying. I'm just going to echo what he's saying, because if you want to beat the algorithms, how to do it is to subscribe and to like and to share as much as you can. You may, I don't want to share one ministry's videos too much. You can't share enough. Just keep sharing, keep liking, and as you do that, more people will see it. So,
right on. So on to the events, the North Carolina State Fair outreach. What are the dates? What does it involve? How many guys you want to get up on the team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It starts next Thursday, and I think that's October 24th. I don't have a calendar here in front of me. Do you have one? Can you check it real quick?
Yeah, let me just 1 second.
Yeah.
So it's October.
Guys are going to be coming into town next Wednesday, which I think is
okay. Yeah. Yeah, the 23rd is a Wednesday, the 24th is a Thursday. Yeah.
So guys coming in. They're going to start coming into town on Wednesday, on the 23rd. We'll have Chuck Lawless, a professor from Southeastern, speaking to us at my church open door on Wednesday night, starting at 7 p.m. We'll have a small dinner with pizza starting at 5:30 at our church open door church, and then Chuck will speak at 7. From 7 to 8, we'll have a prayer time from 8 to 9, and then we'll all come back here to my home. Those who are staying here at my house that aren't local, and then we'll sleep, and then we'll wake up on Thursday morning to pray, have breakfast, pray here at the house, and then we're going to be driving out to the state fair to share the gospel on Thursday, which is canned food day. It's one of the biggest volume numbers of people that have come through the state fair, because you can bring in 2 or 3 cans of food and enter the state fair for free that day. So it's always a huge crowd that day. So we'll be doing it on Thursday, rinse and repeat on Friday, rinse and repeat on Saturday. And then Sunday, I've got to take a few guys to the airport to get them on their flights. So we'll have a smaller group there on Sunday preaching the gospel. We were shooting for 15 guys for 4 days. It looks like we're going to settle between 7 to 10 guys. But if you want to join us and you're from out of town, let me know. And I think I've got a spare air mattress for you. We can blow up, and I can put you here in the house. So just let me know. Reach out to me, and let me know. We'll get you taken care of. Next year we're hoping to be a little bigger. We were hoping for 15 guys, but we didn't quite get there. So hope next year we'll have 15 guys. One thing that I think anyone can take advantage of with our evangelist in this area, since we have been preaching in this area since 2007, and God has graced us with Joe Toy, who's been preaching 35 years in the Philly area. He's come here to North Carolina, and so we have a lot of experience here in North Carolina with evangelists. I've been sharing since 2007 in the open air. Joe's been doing this a lot longer than me, almost 35 years now. And then we on Keith, we had Ratty here. We have a lot of seasoned evangelists that have a lot of experience that younger evangelists could benefit from. So we do have the younger evangelists coming in. What I want to see long term, kind of like what I told the people, brothers at the Super Bowl, this previous Super Bowl. I like for North Carolina to be a place every year when the NC State Fair comes, where younger guys can come in and to be with mature, older evangelists and just to learn from them, to take some tools back with you when you go back to your city that you can benefit from. So, yeah, that's kind of what we're seeking to do this year. That's happening on a little smaller scale than we wanted it to, but you
Yeah.
shoot for the moon. If you get to the stars, you're pretty good.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, and just a note about smaller events. While I do enjoy the Super Bowl event with 80 to 100 guys,
Yeah,
there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of machinery, and when Bill's running the show,
yeah,
you're going to stick to the clock, and there's
sure.
not a whole lot of downtime. The
Yeah,
thing I like about the smaller events is even Bill relaxes on these things, and there's just a lot more time of fellowship. Not that that's the only reason we do it, but it just seems to be the fellowship's a little sweeter, and we get to know each other a little better,
yes.
and we can encourage each other in our preaching. Because we have a little more time to do that, and so I really recommend getting on one of these smaller events if you get a chance to.
Joe, that's a perspective I haven't thought about in a while. That's so true. Like these guys are getting to come and to be in my home, and I have a little farm here. They'll get to see our farm and eat, get fresh eggs and fresh meat and things like that. So it is a little more intimate.
Yep.
It definitely is. So yeah, that's a really good perspective. Although we want it to be big because the bigger it is, the more people hear the gospel. But the bigger the event, the more structured it has to be, the more tightly a timeline has to be, because you're not moving 15 or 7 people, you're moving 100 people, and that's why it has to be a little more less intimate, if for lack of better terms.
Yeah.
So yeah, these smaller events do give you a little bit more face time with people, a little bit more face time with the brothers, and to ask more questions, to get a little more detail in questions you have. So yeah.
So if any last minute guys want to jump on and join you out there, how can they get a hold of you directly? What's the best way?
Sure, great question. You can reach out to me via email. I'm going to give you my Gmail. Gospel God Ministries has its Proton Mail, but it's real long, so I'm going to give you the shorter email address. Reach out to me at twaltz, WALTZ, GGM at gmail.com, not dot, at gmail.com. twaltz, GGM at gmail.com. TWALTZ, giraffe Mary at gmail.com. And put in the header, NC State Fair Preaching Event 2024. And Gospel Invasion 2024. That'll help too. You just do that.
Okay. And is there a website that also?
Yeah, you can go to sports. Have the Gospel Invasion section, and I'll put my cell phone number here. I had a Google number at one time. Just call this number and text me or message me, 919-805-6108. 919-805-6108. That'll be the most immediate way to get in touch with me.
All right, but Tommy, you got any other closing thoughts before I pot you down?
Let's see here. If you are a preacher of the gospel, never hesitate to go out and preach that gospel, because that is the very thing that's going to transform a life. And I know that's a tagline of what I say a lot in our videos. But it's not just a catchphrase. It's truly the sharing, the preaching of the gospel that's going to transform a life. And you don't have anything to be ashamed of. Your culture is trying to mentally exhaust you. Don't buy the lies. This is the help that this culture needs. And if you don't believe me, just go and read the Gospels. You'll see Jesus, the apostles, Moses, all of the Old Testament prophets going about sharing this message. and don't be ashamed of it, and go out and share it.
Awesome. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you coming on, and appreciate you help working with me on the schedule. So appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my honor. Yeah.
All right. Safe travels to you, and blessed outreach there for you, brother.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
All right.
Have a good day, guys.
All right, everybody. Before I sign off, I do want to just mention that, as you know, my name is Joe Hinson, and I am a full-time evangelist with SFOI.org in what we call the George Whitefield program, and we are able to do this full-time and be out here through the support of the individuals and churches. So if you're interested in helping us to continue this work and continue getting the gospel out to all reaches of our nation and even around the world, and if you want to partner with us and join us to help us do that, you can go to georgewhitefieldprogram.org, and if you want to be a real blessing and help us continue at this work, you can even find one of the preachers on there to support. Of course, I'm on there as well, and every little bit helps as we are all co-laborers in the truth. So God bless everybody, and remember to check out Tommy on his YouTube channel, Gospel of God Ministries, and also hopefully you can go back and listen to the video if you want to contact him directly about joining the outreach, the NC State Fair outreach. So God bless, and we will talk to you all down the road.